Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. Join hosts Dan Melnick and Qasim Masood as they explore big ideas, limitless possibilities, and engage with visionaries, entrepreneurs, and thought leaders who dare to dream big, get inspired, motivated, and find practical tips for personal growth. Think big, dream bigger, and ignite your potential.
Welcome to Think Big with Dan and Qasim. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, tell us where you live and what you do.
Good morning. My name is Jacque Lee. I am the CEO of Silva Screen Printing, and we are based out of Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Awesome. So I'm curious more about your business. Like, what exactly do you do and how did you get the idea for it?
Yeah, thank you. It wasn't my idea, in all fairness. There are two families that merged. There is the Silva family for Silva Screen Printing. They started in 2001 with the idea of bringing decorated apparel to the masses. I came on board about 6 months later and have been working through the chain up to the CEO role. And currently, my family is the executive branch of this company. So we merged and got to be honorary Silvas.
Awesome. So in terms of, decorated apparel, obviously it's a very competitive space. There's lots of people in it. So how do you what do you kind of focus on? How do you kind of differentiate yourselves in this market?
Yeah, that's a great question. It is a very competitive space. The one thing that I will say, though, is there are many people that do screen printing, decoration, embroidery, those sorts of things, but they all sort of segment themselves into the type of business that they do. We are a long run direct to retail provider, meaning we run product that runs over long volume that ends up in distribution centers for retail sale. So it's not the same thing that your screen printer down the street does where they print for a bar and grill or your kids' sports teams. Those are slightly different types of printing. We've focused the last 18 to 24 months or so on differentiating ourselves through automation and business optimization using AI and building out a custom system so that we can optimize our manufacturing efficiencies and be more competitive in the market. That's a differentiator for sure because the traditional screen printing has not changed much since the 1970s. The idea of putting ink on a shirt has always been there. We are now doing it down to the microsecond and the micro measurement to make sure that we are recording all of the data necessary to make it as profitable as possible.
Awesome. So in terms of your customers, right? I mean, is it people that are kind of maybe just more established and launching new product lines, or do you have even people who might want to just start a clothing brand? I guess what does it kind of look like in terms of your ideal customers?
Sure. That's also a great question to ask because there is a wide variety of customers that we service. The people that sell directly to the retailers are rep groups, buyers groups, kind of ad agencies, marketing companies. They're the middlemen in the market. And what their job is to take our service offering and sell it to the masses. In addition to that, we work with some of the ad specialty companies. If you think about new product launches or trade shows, that sort of thing, a lot of times swag in the form of apparel is one of the things that are frequently given away or shot out of cannons or, those sorts of things. So we always say that what we build when we decorate this apparel is a walking billboard. We want to make sure that your brand or your clothing line or your message is done as effectively and efficiently as possible on apparel that's comfortable and wearable, things that you want to walk around in. It's the best form of advertising if you think about a brand development.
For sure. So I think in this space, obviously, it's been challenging, I'm sure, at times because you have, people making apparel for a fraction of the cost in different countries, right? So how do you kind of compete with that, if at all?
Luckily, over the past 4 years, there's been a real significant reinvestment in domestic manufacturing. There's been additional funding, additional development, additional infrastructure for rebuilding what has left the United States. There's been a big push to sort of bring that back. We focus on being competitive to international markets because we can produce domestically at a fraction of the cost and at the volume that is necessary to sort of compete. Big container loads come in all the time, but we can do 35 to 40,000 units a day. So it's actually pretty large production that can happen domestically. And because we have micromanaged the profitability of it, we have the ability to be competitive to what would be an international market.
For sure, yeah. And I think just like, one thing I always think about, it's just like easier for communication because like obviously like same time zone, same country, right? So they can easily call you if they have questions or if they want to go and change something. I'm sure that makes a big difference as well.
It really does. The other thing that's critically important is that it's a relationship business because we are working with the middle market and supplying, the whole string of the supply chain. You have to have a relationship with your truckers, your distribution centers. A lot of the people that are going to be moving this product also have to have trust and faith in your ability to supply the product in time to get it there. So it's not just a simple process of decorating. It is a whole environment of this infrastructure necessary to get this product everywhere it needs to go into the United States.
For sure. And like as you mentioned earlier, right, like you're not essentially really targeting, somebody making shirts for like a birthday party or something small. You kind of are focused more on the mid-market. So what does that look like? I mean, do you have like a certain minimum of like, order quantity or how do you kind of, or even like certain lead times? Like if somebody was interested, how would that process kind of work?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. We do have minimums. I'll tell anybody that will do one shirt. If you want to do one shirt, it's going to be astronomically expensive, though. Where we kind of tend to focus the majority of our business is on services that already have established EDI or technology initiatives so that we can streamline the process and get the information into our order management system. Using AI, we can then optimize the production of it and get it done. Really, you need to have long volume for that, for it to be cost effective to cover those sorts of development costs and usages. Typically, our average order size right now runs around 5,000 pieces per design. We've done up to 450,000 pieces per design. So it just kind of depends on where you need. In embroidery, you have a lot more flexibility on small runs because embroidery is the one process that you can't really speed up without buying more equipment. It's not as scalable as apparel decoration really is. The
For
t-shirt
sure. Yeah, and
printing
you're
and those
talking
sorts of
early.
things.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess also in terms of like AI, right? Because you're talking about AI kind of speeds things up. So it's like, when do you kind of implement AI and like how has that, helped your business?
We've worked on building out a custom-based Python technology solution. The goal of that is to allow our customers a Domino's pizza tracker, I guess, into the t-shirt market so you can see where your product is at any given time on the pipeline. It shows you a live 24/7 feed of what's happening. We couldn't do that with people, and we wouldn't want to, quite honestly. We're using AI to augment our business and make it more effective for our customers. I always say that people need to think about technology not in the fact that you're trying to replace people, but you're trying to make their jobs so much easier and so much more effective. And the future of technology is going to be people that are good at using what is available to them as a tool and implementing that, not replacing themselves, because it opens up so many more opportunities. And with those opportunities, you have the ability to grow. When you grow, you have the ability to invest in technology. And it's a win-win cycle when you do it correctly.
For sure. So in terms of like this AI process, is it 24/7, 365, or like how often like are you running those machines?
So our printing process happens through normal production shifts. We run a longer than normal 1 day shift, but we do run 6 days a week. Currently, we have scalability then because we can scale up to 2 shifts if we need to. The system runs 24/7. So the ability for our customers to send in orders, find out what capacity is available, book jobs, get some automatic answers is available to them, worldwide 24/7. So that takes away some of that prohibitive global market. When you talk about time zones or needing to talk to people, they can send jobs in, we can receive them, the process can start until we can actually have a conversation and get some details built into it. But through electronic data interfaces, you have the opportunity to really capture the majority of the information that you need to do a job quickly and effectively.
So in terms of like lead time, what does that look like if somebody wanted to, get something going? Do they need like a certain amount of months, or could they start like within a week? What does that look like typically?
Screen printing runs really fast because it is a scalable environment and we have sufficient capacity to meet our customer needs. We can turn jobs in 10 days. Embroidery is a little slower. That, depending on volume, it's more limited to the amount of equipment that you have. So, and it has a finite speed that it's able to run. In the screen printing world, you can really throw more people at the problem and scale up very, very quickly.
That's awesome. So, I mean, does AI also help with like some of like the design formatting, or does the design come like before? Does a customer like bring you their design, or like where does that kind of come into play?
We have a really comprehensive in-house art department. A lot of our customers do send over artwork that's ready to go. Sometimes our customers send in things that are scribbles on a napkin. It just really depends on the idea. But having in-house art and people who specialize in the production art side of it really makes it efficient for them to be able to take a customer's idea or vision and translate it into something that is fully realized on apparel. Printing on apparel is substantially different than printing on paper or what you see online. There's some limitations on how you can decorate things and how you want to combine the proper ink with the proper garment or the proper thread with the proper, jacket or something to that effect. So you want to make sure that you have alignment between the graphic and the intended messaging on the actual specific garment because those are critical.
Yeah, for sure. So it seems like it's more of a consultative process, like as well, because you're kind of going back and saying, hey, like you might not want to have this color on this color shirt. It's not going to look good, or on this material, like making sure that like, hey, whatever they're going to order is actually going to look good.
Yeah, we have a lot of proprietary methods too. So our goal is to make it the most comfortable, wearable, but brand effective garment. So there's a lot of ink techniques that we use, or there's a lot of things that we do. We also have some green printing initiatives. So our shop is very, very clean. It has filtered air, filtered water. In that, we also have some inks that you can use that are less environmentally harming. So there's a greener footprint available. And that I think it's important to understand that manufacturing as a whole needs to be both a craft and a steward of what the future holds. So you have to have a business that is both effective in providing a service that is different than others, but also that stewardship to our earth needs to be considered. And the treating people with respect because of that idea of stewardship and craftsmanship is really important for sustainability in any sort of manufacturing opportunity.
So do you focus more on like, t-shirts and shirts, or do you also do hats? Like what type of like apparel do you typically do?
We are considered a textile printer, which means we can print on any sort of textile technically. We've done umbrellas, we've done chair backs, we've done iPad cases. Anything that has a textile component to it can be decorated in one way or another. The most common will always be your basic black t-shirt.
Got it. So I don't know if you can share this. I'm always curious in terms of just like maybe just like some of the coolest projects that you've done. I'm not sure like what, if you have like NDAs or things that, you can share, but yeah, I'm sure you probably worked on many cool things, let's say over the years.
We actually have invented some print techniques. One of them that I'm really proud about being involved in was a project for Cabela's, and what they had was a women's t-shirt that they were trying to bring kind of hunting fashion, I guess, into the market to target a more female crowd. And the shirt we invented was called Reversey. What it was a shirt that was printed in reverse with a brand messaging on the inside of the garment, but printed with enough saturation that it just slightly showed through. Then we flipped the shirts inside out and did a really blingy, sparkly sort of, it's called foil. It's an applique material in the other side of it. It gave you this real subtle messaging, but with a little bit of fashion bling on a fitted woman's shirt. It was a really fun project. It was a proprietary process that we invented. So it was something that I felt really good about our art team coming up with unique ideas and methodologies for doing this. And we did that with a water-based ink. So it was environmentally friendly too. So it sort of ticked all the boxes that I thought a new product launch would be nice for the market.
Awesome. So I know that you've been in business for some time, but I guess like obviously that you just mentioned that you've worked with companies like Cabela's and they're a big player, but how have you kind of gone about growing your business and getting new clients and customers?
Because we are a contract service provider, meaning we are B2B, we are not the ones who go out and reach that business market. That's where our marketing agencies, ad specialty companies, those brand developers do that. They contract with us then for the decoration part of that process. Oftentimes, we don't even know the product that's coming in, so we have to start an investigative process on what's going to be the best method to decorate this container load of shirts that have landed in our shop for what this customer needs. Typically, between us and an end buyer like a Cabela's or any of the other mass retailers, there's going to be 2 to 3 steps in that process on the supply chain. So sometimes we have great collaborative processes with the end buyer. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes there's companies that have product launches or specific brand identities that are needed in between, and they're the ones that initiate kind of what is intended. And then through our processes, we offer suggestions that are the most effective for them.
Awesome. So obviously now we're in a new year, 2025. So what are some like your biggest goals and objectives for this year?
We're working really hard to get this technology process finalized. We are in phase 2 of 5. The first was our manufacturing initiative. The second was our customer portal. We're now trying to integrate all the APIs with our existing vendors and make sure that we are as diverse as possible in the communication and technology process. I'm not a technology person, so excuse my lack of knowledge there. But what we are trying to do is make it as ubiquitous as possible for anybody who has an existing API to connect to us and allow for a simple flow of data to better affect the supply chain. We knew through COVID that the supply chain was somewhat fragile. And by building a process out like this, we are allowing for a little more scalability and stability in that supply chain moving forward. So, although it was reactionary, it is more aligned with the technology initiatives that are currently happening.
Awesome. So if you could go back in time to before you joined this company, what is the one biggest piece of advice that you wish you knew?
This is a great question, and I am going to scream this to the masses. Learn how to pivot. Learn how to pivot quickly and learn how to adapt to what is thrown at you in business. There is no one way of solving a problem, and I think it is incredibly important to get outside of your own head and make sure that you are listening to everybody that you trust in your sphere on solution-based processes, because we through the years have thrown a bunch of things at the wall to see what sticks, and some of those have been ideas from the guy who mixes ink because he knows how the ink works and he specializes in that, and he's got some really great ideas. If you don't listen to the people in your sphere or even folks that you trust outside of that, sometimes you're going to miss really great opportunities. And if you think that you have the one size solution for all and you're not building plan B, plan C, plan D, all the way down the stream, it's not going to be a solution for a long-term business success. There's nothing wrong with saying I was wrong and moving on and pivoting to something different. I think that's wholly critical in success in the long run.
Yeah, that's really good advice. So if somebody watching this wanted to reach out to you, do you mind sharing your website or social media? I guess best ways to get in contact.
Yeah, thank you. So you can reach me at Jacque at silvascreenprinting.com, and it's JACQUE, Silva, SILVA, screen printing, all one word, .com. Our domain is also silvascreenprinting.com. Very soon we have a new domain that's launching. It's called the Silva Way, and that is the implementation of the technology initiative. We're hoping to have that out by the end of February.
So, well, Jacque, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you and what you're doing here. I think it's great to have a variety of different businesses have an opportunity to discuss their successes and pitfalls.
Of course.
Thank you.